Hello everybody. Today in this session we are going to discuss about the renal handling of urea. As we all know, urea is the uh, component which is actually produced from ammonia. So ammonia is the precursor of urea. So it is produced from the ammonia, and what is the site for urea production? It is the liver hepatocyte. So from the liver hepatocyte the urea is actually produced from the ammonia. So site of production for the urea is the liver hepatocyte. So it is the site of formation. Site of formation we can say. So site of formation is the liver hepatocyte, and it is the precursor. Precursor. So precursor is the ammonia and site of production is the liver hepatocyte. Now, as we all know, it is actually most important component of the excretory product also, and it is the component which can easily be filtrate. 100% filtration will occur in the nephron or in the proximal part of the nephron. 100% filtration it will produce. Filtration will be 100% in the ECT, or we can say in the PCT. Number two, it can easily be excreted. Excretion can be possible, for this component, which is of course under influence of ADH or in absence of ADH. We will discuss this thing. Or in absence of ADH, this can be excreted, as well as this is the component which can also be secreted to some extent. So secretion can also be possible. So here secretion to some extent, so it can easily be filtrated, it can easily be excreted, and it will be secreted in the renal tubule. Now we will discuss one by one the renal handling of the urea. So this renal handling of the urea actually can be modified either in presence of ADH or in absence of ADH. So first we will discuss the renal handling of the urea in presence of ADH, when there will be increased concentration of the ADH in our circulatory system. Now ADH means antidiuretic hormone. In our last or previous videos, as we have discussed about the hypothalamus and the hypothalamic pituitary axis, on that videos we will observe that ADH is actually synthesized and secreted mainly from the posterior pituitary, but it will be produced under influence of the hypothalamus. Which part of the hypothalamus? It will be the supraoptic and the paraventricular nucleus of the hypothalamus. When there will be decrease in the blood volume or extracellular fluid volume, we can say decrease in the extracellular fluid volume, or if there will be increase in the osmolarity or osmolality, whatever you can say, osmolarity of the body fluid. At that situation, the OVLT, organum vacuolation of the lamina terminalis, can sense this increased osmolarity, and immediately it will send its signal to the supraoptic nucleus and the paraventricular nucleus of the hypothalamus. From this part of the hypothalamus, hypothalamo-neurohypophyseal tract will originate, and it will ultimately come into the pars nervosa, of the posterior pituitary. So pars nervosa of the posterior pituitary will get signal from the supraoptic and paraventricular nucleus, and from there actually this ADH will be synthesized and secreted. Now when there will be increase in the ADH concentration in the media, how it will modulate the urea reabsorption process as well as urea secretion process and urea excretion process. So to understand this thing, first we have to draw a schematic diagram of nephron so that it will be more understandable. So let's start with the diagram of the nephron. Hope you can understand this thing, that this is the proximal part of the nephron, then descending thin limb of the loop of Henle, then loop of Henle, then ascending thin limb of the loop of Henle, ascending thin limb of the loop of Henle. From there, it will produce what? Thick ascending limb of the loop of Henle. Thick ascending limb of the loop of Henle, then early part of the DCT, late part of the DCT, then eventually it will produce collecting duct. Now we can divide this collecting duct based on the distribution of the nephron. That is what, as we know, in our kidney, most two important zone is the cortex and medulla. So according to that, we can divide a nephron into three zones. Here it is the, suppose it is the cortical part of the above part is the cortical part and below is the medullary part. So this collecting duct will be called as cortical collecting duct. Now in this medullary collecting duct also we can divide this thing into two zones. That is the outer medullary collecting duct and inner medullary collecting duct. So here it is the OMCD, that means outer medullary collecting duct, OMCD. We can say this outer medullary collecting duct, and below the zone is known as the inner medullary collecting duct. Okay, and here of course we have our afferent arteriole. Afferent arteriole, eventually it will produce glomerular capillary network. From there efferent arteriole will originate, which will be more narrower than the afferent arteriole. And at the corticomedullary part of the kidney, this efferent arteriole will produce vasa recta, which is also a capillary network, and it will be parallel with the proximal convoluted tubule, and it will also U-shaped. So here it is our vasa recta. Here it is our vasa recta, and eventually it will form renal tubule, renal vein, and mixed into the inferior vena cava. Okay, so this way it will go through. So it is the renal vein. Okay, now if we try to label all this site so that we can more understand this thing, it is the afferent arteriole, it is the glomerular capillary network, efferent arteriole, then it is the vasa recta, and here it is the proximal convoluted tubule, here it is the loop of Henle, thick ascending limb of the loop of Henle, early part of the DCT, late part of the DCT, and eventually cortical collecting duct, outer medullary collecting duct, and inner medullary collecting duct. Now, after that, we have to understand which part of the nephron is simply urea impermeable zone, whether ADH is present or absent. That is the important thing. So simply urea impermeable zone is the shaded side from the thick ascending limb of the loop of Henle through the early part of the DCT, late part of the DCT, and up to the cortical collecting duct. So this is always urea impermeable zone. That means under no circumstances at this site urea can either be reabsorbed or can be secreted, whether ADH is present or absent. After that, we have to know the transporter via which urea can be reabsorbed as well as urea can be secreted. Okay, so what are the transporter or transportation site for the urea recycling or the urea handling in this nephron. So here in the inner medullary collecting duct, if we take, it is a cell of the inner medullary collecting duct. Most typically it is the principal cell. So at this P cell, it is known as the P cell. So P cell will have one apical site. Here it is the apical site, and here it is the basolateral site, as it is the medullary interstitium. Now, at the apical site, the pump that is present is known as the urea transporter A1. Urea transporter A1. At the basolateral site, here the pump is present is known as the urea transporter A3. So at the apical site in the inner medullary collecting duct, urea transporter A1 is present, and at the basolateral site, urea transporter A3 is present. At the bending site of the loop of Henle, as well as at the thin ascending limb of the loop of Henle, at this site, another transporter medium is present, or channel or pump is present, is known as the urea transporter A2. So here it is the urea transporter A2, and another transporter is present in the vasa recta and in the descending part of the vasa recta. Here it is the transporter for the urea. It is known as the urea transporter B1, B2. But mind it, no transporter is present in the proximal part of the nephron. Whatever urea will be reabsorbed in the PCT will be by simple diffusion process or downhill movement. According to the concentration gradient, downhill movement of the urea will come out from the proximal part of the nephron. It is the process simple called as simple diffusion or downhill movement of the urea reabsorption. So again, urea transporter A1 is present in the apical side of the inner medullary collecting duct. Urea transporter A3 is present in the basolateral part of the inner medullary collecting duct. Urea transporter A2 is present at the loop of Henle bend and the ascending thin limb of the loop of Henle site. And urea transporter B1 and B2 is present at the descending part of the vasa recta. Now, as urea will produce in the liver hepatocyte from the ammonia, and eventually it will come into the circulation, and via the circulation, ultimately it will filtrate through the glomerular capillary network into the present into the Bowman capsule, and eventually it will come into the proximal part of the nephron, and 100% filtration will possible for this urea. Now, from this 100% of the filtrate urea, 50% will be reabsorbed in the proximal part of the nephron or the proximal convoluted tubule. So 50% reabsorption will occur, and this reabsorption process is known as the simple diffusion process, as we have already told this thing. So simple diffusion process by which urea will be reabsorbed, or downhill movement, we can say. So downhill movement or simple diffusion process by which urea will be reabsorbed. After this episode, this 50% of the urea will present in the loop of Henle. Eventually, from the medullary interstitium, again 50% urea will be secreted, and this thing will be possible when there will be increase in the ADH concentration, in the media. So we are discussing now when there will be increased ADH concentration, at that time how urea will be handled by this nephron. So from the medullary interstitium, 50% urea will be secreted here. That means how much urea will present at the late part of the cortical collecting duct, that is the 100%, as urea is simply impermeable from the thick ascending limb of the loop of Henle up to the cortical collecting duct. So when this filtrate will present at the cortical collecting duct, in that filtrate product, 100% of the urea will be present. Now what happens under the influence of the ADH, at the outer medullary collecting duct, the special channel that will open, which is known as the sodium urea co-transporter. It is known as the sodium urea co-transporter. And via this sodium urea co-transporter, what happens? The 30% of the urea will be reabsorbed. So 30% of the urea will get reabsorbed via the sodium urea co-transporter. Not only the urea, but also sodium ion can also reabsorb in this site under the influence of the ADH. But when there will be no ADH or decreased ADH concentration or under normal circumstances, this sodium urea co-transporter will not work. So this sodium urea co-transporter sensitivity or activation will be possible when there will be increase in the ADH concentration, when there will be hyperosmolarity situation or decreased blood volume situation, at that time when ADH will be high in the circulatory system. So after that, 30% of the sodium urea reabsorption, what will happen? Remaining 70% will come into the inner medullary collecting duct. And here, what will happen? Here, almost 55% of the urea from the 70% will be reabsorbed. That means at this site, 55% of the urea will be first reabsorbed from the apical site, and eventually via the basolateral site, 55% of the urea will come into the medullary interstitium, and remaining 15% ultimately will be excreted. So 15% urea will be excreted, excretion. So 50% of the urea will be excreted under the influence of the ADH. Now, what will be the fate of this 55% of the urea which is present in the medullary interstitium after getting reabsorbed from the inner medullary collecting duct? Out of this 55%, 50% of the urea will be secreted here. That is, the urea transporter A2 is present at the bending site of the loop of Henle, and remaining 5% will be secreted at the descending part of the vasa recta. So 5% of the urea will be secreted here in the vasa recta via the urea transporter B1 and B2, and eventually it will come into the renal vein. And that is the process by which urea will be handled under the influence of the ADH. That means we can say what is the nature of this urine under the influence of the ADH. So we can say that under the influence, when there will be increase in the ADH concentration in the circulation, ultimately 15% only, 15% urea will be excreted. As we know, urea is highly osmotically active agent. When there will be less percentage of the urea is present in the urine, that means what? Urine will become hyperosmolar. So hyperosmolar urine will be produced under the influence of ADH. That is the thing you need to know. So first 50% again will be reabsorbed in the PCT. Remaining 50% will come into the loop, from where there will be secretion of the 50%. So 50% plus 50% again will come into the cortical collecting duct. From there, 30% will be reabsorbed by the outer medullary collecting duct by the sodium urea co-transporter. 55% will be reabsorbed in the inner medullary collecting duct, and remaining 15% will be excreted. So that is the thing. And this 55% of the reabsorbed urea ultimately again will be secreted in the thin loop of Henle site, and 5% will be secreted in the vasa recta. So that is the distribution of the urea under the influence of the ADH, and ultimately hyperosmolar urine will be produced. So this is all about our urea handling, renal handling of the urea under the influence of the ADH. Now, when there will be normal ADH concentration or below the normal level of the ADH in the media, then what will the fate of this urea in the nephron and how it will be reabsorbed and secreted. So again, to understand this thing, we have to draw the nephron first, and here it is the descending thin, descending part of the PCT, then loop of Henle, ascending thin limb of the loop of Henle. From there, it will produce thick ascending limb of the loop of Henle. Then early part of the DCT, late part of the DCT, and finally the collecting duct. Finally, the collecting duct. And which part of the nephron is urea impermeable zone? It is the thick ascending limb of the loop of Henle, early part of the DCT, late part of the DCT, and up to the cortical collecting duct. So here we can also divide this area into three sites. This is the cortical collecting duct. Here it is the outer medullary collecting duct, and below is the inner medullary collecting duct. Inner medullary collecting duct. And of course, there is afferent arteriole, duct of glomerular capillary network, efferent arteriole, it will produce at the corticomedullary junction. This is the corticomedullary junction. From here, parallelly, vasa recta will come down, and eventually it is the descending part of the vasa recta and ascending part of the vasa recta and goes into the renal vein. And here, what will happen under the influence of the ADH? Again, as then what are the transporter are present here? First, we have to mention this thing. So this is the at the apical site of the inner medullary collecting duct, urea transporter A1 is present, urea transporter A3 is present at the basolateral site. At this area, loop bending area of the loop of Henle, urea transporter A2 is present. At the vasa recta, we have urea transporter B1 and urea transporter B2 is present. Now, when the filtrate will come into the proximal part of the nephron, how much it will filtrate? Of course, it will be the 100% filtration. And from there, in our previous discussion, we have mentioned that all the time, whether ADH is present or not, 50% of the urea will be reabsorbed in the proximal convoluted tubule and by the simple diffusion process. So again, by the simple diffusion process or by the downhill movement this urea will be reabsorbed. So 50% of the urea will again be reabsorbed under the when there will be decreased ADH concentration also, and remaining 50% will come into the loop of Henle. Now what will happen here? How much urea will be secreted? That is the thing you need to know. Here it is the 60%. So 60% secretion will occur from the medullary interstitium into the loop of Henle, and eventually it will come into the cortical collecting duct. How much concentration will present here? It is the 110%. So 110% here also 110%. 110% of the urea is present at the cortical collecting duct. As we have previously discussed that outer medullary collecting duct will only be sensitive when for the urea reabsorption when there will be increased ADH concentration. So when at this situation when there will be normal or low level of the ADH in the circulatory system, the outer medullary collecting duct is also simply urea impermeable zone. That means here also no urea will be reabsorbed as there will be no sodium urea co-transporter activation. So eventually what will happen at this site, how much urea ultimately present? That is the 110%. And now what happens? This from the out of 110%, 70% of the urea will be first reabsorbed in the inner medullary collecting duct. So first 70% will be reabsorbed via the urea transporter A1, and eventually via the urea transporter A3, again 70% will be reabsorbed and present in the medullary interstitium, and remaining 40% ultimately come into the urine. So 40% excretion will occur here. So 40% excretion will occur when there will be less ADH concentration in the media. And what happens out of this 70% which is present in the medullary interstitium, 60% will be secreted in the loop of Henle site via the urea transporter A2, and remaining 10% will be secreted here. That is the descending part of the vasa recta. So descending part of the vasa recta. Here the 10% urea will be secreted by the urea transporter B1 and B2. That means the concentration of the urea is higher when there will be less ADH. And as we know, urea is isoosmotic agent or osmotically active agent. It can easily drag more amount of water. At that time, that means when there will be less ADH, urine will be hypoosmolar because of presence of more amount of water and the urea. So when there will be less ADH or decreased ADH concentration, the 40% of the urea excretion will be occur. Total filtrate urea 100%, and out of that 40% urea will be excreted in urine. And as it is osmotically active agent, it will drag more amount of water, and by this way urine will become hypoosmolar. So when there will be decreased ADH, urine will be hypoosmolar. So hypoosmolar urine will be produced. Again, to summarize, when there will be less ADH, 50% of the urea will be reabsorbed in the PCT via the simple diffusion process. Remaining 50% will come into the loop of Henle, where 60% of the urea will be secreted from the medullary interstitium. And out of this 110% of the urea, it will come eventually into the inner medullary collecting duct. As when there is less ADH, up to the outer medullary collecting duct is simply water, urea impermeable zone. And from 110%, 70% will be reabsorbed by the urea transporter A1 and A3. And remaining 40% of the urea excretion will occur. And this 70% reabsorbed urea, when present in the medullary interstitium, it will be secreted 60% in the loop of Henle, and remaining 10% secretion will occur. These are the secreted product. These are the secreted product in the vasa recta. So that's how the urea will be reabsorbed and secreted as well as excreted in presence or in absence of ADH. Hope you will enjoy this tutorial session. Thank you.